Hi, my name is Debbie Dore and I've put together today a short back care program specifically for people who have some experience of Pilates and more specifically those who come to my current classes. Hopefully who have done these exercises before and just need a little prompt maybe to put them into your own home program. I always begin my Pilates practice with a few mobilizing exercises just to loosen up and to get rid of any little sort of glitches and stiff areas that you might have. So first of all, I'm starting off with a variation to the child pose mobilization that you see in a lot of classes. You're going to take your left hand over your right, and then you're going to take your left hip and rock back towards your left heel. As you do that, rotate that right shoulder down towards the floor, and you will feel a really nice stretch down that left hand side. So rather than holding that position, I take my body then forwards and scooping my abdominals as I roll back, I just go back to the same position, left hip to right heel. And just continue to move in and out, gradually allowing the body to loosen. Scooping those abdominals, rotate the right shoulder down. I usually do about 3 or 4 on each side. And then coming up, I'm changing over to the other side, taking my right hand over my left, and now scooping my abdominals to take my right hip back towards my right heel, and rotate my left shoulder down towards the floor. And again, just moving in and out of the position. As I move back, I lift my abdominals just to create that extra little bit of stretch through that right hand side of the body. Child pose mobilization. This exercise is called sideline arm circles. You want to lie yourself on your side on the floor with the knees bent up at 90 degrees and a ball or any round object just in the palm of both of your hands. Now reach forward, rolling whatever you have in your hands away with the top arm. And what you will feel is a really nice stretch between the shoulder blades and a bit of rotation there going on. Keep the arm nice and straight and do 5 or 6 of these mobilizing through the upper back. Once you've completed those, just push your underside arm forward very slightly, and then we're going to lift the arm up towards the ceiling and rotate the torso back towards the floor, keeping the knees pressing down. So just taking the arm up, relax the arm into its socket and then open through the chest. And release. And back down. And again, about 3 to 4 of these. Just mobilizing through that upper torso. And release and down. That's sideline arm circle. This exercise is called breaststroke prep 1. You're going to start lying on your front, placing your head down on a pillow or a block. Your hands are out to the side, in line roughly with the shoulders. Lift the abdominals away from the floor to support the lower back. And then as you're breathing out, lift the chest and head away from the floor, allowing the crown of the head to reach away from your shoulders. Inhale, and then exhale, back down. So this movement is always initiated from the upper back, and the head just moves as a result of the upper back lifting. Inhale at the top, and then lengthen back down to the floor. As you're lifting, really sort of feel as if that upper back is moving towards the front of the body. Feel like you're putting a little bit of pressure there to create that extension. And then release, back down. Maintain the abdominals slightly lifting away from the floor to help support your lower back. And once you've finished about 5 repetitions, that's enough. Inhale at the top and then release back down to the floor. That's breaststroke prep 1. This exercise is called shell stretch. And I generally use it after I've done an extension exercise such as breaststroke prep 1, 2 or 3. Lengthen up through the crown of the head, open through the shoulders. Inhale, wide and full. As you exhale, drop your chin towards your collarbones, roll the crown of the head in towards your torso, allowing the shoulder blades to slide away from the centre of the spine. Use your hands to support you at the bottom. Inhale, and as you exhale, slowly start to rebuild the spine one vertebra at a time, sequentially one vertebra after the other. Lift the breastbone, open through the shoulders, and lengthen the ears away from the shoulders and through the crown of the head. That's the shell stretch. This exercise is called single leg toe taps, and it's a great stability exercise. Lie yourself onto your back in a neutral spine so you have your normal arch and your curve of your back away from the floor. Bring one leg up into tabletop. Breathing out, bring that second leg up. Return your first leg to the floor, followed by the second. And then repeat, starting with your opposite leg. Then the second leg comes up. First leg comes down, second leg. And just making sure that as you move your legs, that your spine stays in place. You stay in that neutral position throughout. Do about 6 repetitions on each side before moving on to the next exercise. That's single leg toe taps. Next exercise is opposite arm and leg extension. Again, lying on your back, making sure you're in a neutral spine. Bring both arms up above the chest. As you breathe out, extend the opposite arm and leg away from one another, maintaining neutral spine throughout. So use an exhale just to help you to connect with those abdominal and corset muscles. Making sure as you take the arm and leg away from one another that the base of the rib cage stays drawing down softly towards the mat. Now if you would like a slightly more challenging version of this exercise, you can bring your legs up into tabletop. So as you exhale now, you no longer have your supporting leg. So it's slightly more challenging. Just take the legs onto a high diagonal to begin with. And if you feel like you want a little bit more of a challenge, then you can drop the leg a little bit lower to the floor. But please be guided by how well you can stabilise during this exercise. Again, perform about 6 on each side for one set. That's opposite arm and leg extension. This exercise is called swim prep. And it's another great stability exercise, but this time done in what is known as a 4-point position. Make sure that your hands are shoulder width apart and your knees are hip width apart. And it's a bit like a table type position. Okay. Make sure you're also in neutral spine, which is slightly harder to find in this position, but lift your abdominals, glide your shoulder blades back and slightly press the tailbone towards the ceiling to create that neutral arch in your back. First of all, just to prep the swim prep, we're going to lift the opposite hand and the opposite knee away from the floor and maintain the back in exactly the same position. Then release it back down. So breathing out, opposite arm and leg just lifts and hovers slightly above the floor and release and back down. And just perform maybe 2 or 3 on each side, just making sure that you are really nice and stable before moving to the next part. Then what we're going to do is we're going to again perform the hover, but we're going to extend the opposite arm and leg away from one another. And then bring the arm and leg back in and return to the floor. Now as you extend that arm and leg, make sure that you keep those abdominals supporting your lower back so that it doesn't drop into an arch. Make sure that you're pressing away from the floor on the hand that's supporting you and that both your shoulders and your hips are maintained in a nice straight line, horizontal line. Perform again about 3 or 4 on each side before moving on to your next exercise. That's swim prep. Now we're moving on to shoulder bridge. It's a great exercise for the back line of the body. Lie onto your back. Make sure you're in your neutral spine with that sacrum nice and heavy and dropping down into the floor, your shoulders really nice and wide and relaxed. Put the weight through the heels and drive the hips up towards the ceiling. Roughly making sure that you've got a straight line from your knee through your hip and to your shoulders. Soften through the rib cage so that make sure you're not overarching into your mid-back. From this position, we're just going to drop the hips a fraction towards the floor and then breathing out and press them back up. Release and press up. Release and press up. Just using that exhale, making sure that as you drive your hips up, that you're keeping the rib cage nice and soft. So it's the hips and the buttock muscles that are doing the lift rather than the upper mid-back. The first exercise I'm going to do in sideline position is side kick. Bring your feet towards the opposite end of your mat. Lift the top leg, pull the toe towards you, lengthen through the top of the waist. Use your other hand to support in front. And we're going to go inhale, inhale, exhale to take the leg back behind you. Inhale, inhale, exhale to take the leg back behind you. About 8 to 10 repetitions, getting that really nice stretch through the back of the hamstring and then also into your hip flexors on the front here. After that, we continue on the same side and we go into single leg lift. Then again, bring the legs nice and straight and keep reaching along the mat with that top leg. Lift to hip height, pull the toe towards you and press back down. Lift to hip height, pull the toe towards you and press back down. Let's keep that feeling of lengthening all the way through the movement, making sure that the body is nice and relaxed. Again, 8 to 10 repetitions before switching to the other side to perform side kick and one leg lift on the opposite side. That's side kick and single leg lift. This exercise is called a Mermaid and it's a really nice mobility exercise to finish off any workout with. Take yourself and sit in a zigzag position. If you find this a little bit uncomfortable, if your hips are a little bit on the stiff side, then put a few cushions underneath your bottom so you're elevating your bottom higher than your legs. Sit in that position. Inhale, reach one arm up towards the ceiling. Exhale and take the body over to the side, sinking the hips back into the floor. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, draw the ribs back towards your spine and reach forward with your arm. Inhale, lift, and then exhale, rotate back. Eyes looking to fingers. Bring the other arm over the ear and then all the way back up into seated. Probably best to do about 2 on each side. So for the second side, just take your legs around the other way. Try and sink the hips down into the floor and have them as level as you can. And again, lift up and over, keeping the arm in line with the ear. Lift back up, scoop those abdominals and reach forward. Inhale, lift, eyes look back to fingers. Taking the arm over the ear. And then all the way back up into seated. And that's Mermaid. Hi, I hope you enjoyed my Back Care Pilates program and that it provides a useful addition for your home Pilates practice. Hopefully, I'll see you in class very soon.